So I'm going to sing Oh Hey Vaishnav Thakur. So, whenever you can, I guess you can pull it up. Yeah. Oh hey Vaishnava Thakura Doyara Sadara Edase Koruna Kori Oh hey Vaishnava Thakura Doyara Sadara Edase Koruna Kori Pada chaya sodoe amai tomara charana dori Diya pada chaya sodoe amai tomara charana dori Jaya vega domi jaya dosha sodi jaya guna deho dase Vega domi jaya dosha soti jaya guna deho dase Jaya satsanga deho amare bo sachi sangera se satsanga deho amare bo sachi sangera se Kalki Prabhu Hari Nama Sankirtane Eki Amar Nahi Par Hari Nama Sankirtane Kripa kori sada bindu dhyate ho Krishna namadhane Tumi kripa kori sada bindu dhyate ho Krishna namadhane First, Krishna se tomar, Krishna
जीते पारो तुम्हारा सामर्थ्य आचे। कृष्ण से कृष्ण जीते पारो तुम्हारा सामर्थ्य आचे। तो गंगा कृष्ण कृष्ण बोली जाय तव आचे। तो गंगा कृष्ण कृष्ण बोली जाय तव आचे। से को Read the translation. O Venerable Vaishnava Thakur, O Ocean of Mercy, be merciful to this humble servant of yours and purify me with the shade of your lotus feet. Your lotus feet I humbly hold. By helping me control the 6 urges and purifying me of the 6 faults, bestow upon your servant the 6 good qualities. O Master, please give me the 6 kinds of holy association. I have sat down here hoping to have your company. Alone, I do not find the strength to chant the holy name of Hari. Please be merciful and blessing me with a drop of faith. Bestow on me the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna is yours, and you can give him to me, for such is your power. This wretch is simply running behind you, crying out, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And then, okay. And so I'll chant Mangalacharanam, and then I'll read a couple things about Narottam Das Thakur, and then we'll go to the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Om Agana Tamanandasya Gananjanjana Salakaya Chakshorudmanitam Yena Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhuttade Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Parakamanam Shri Gurum Vaishnamam Shra Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganaptam Mitam Tam Shajivam Savadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saritam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Raitam Shri Vishakam Mitam Shra Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimante Bhakti Vikas Swaminiti Namane. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimante Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine. Nivishesha Shuni Vari Paskita Satarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So today is the appearance of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. And so I'll just read, like I said, I'll just read a couple things. And I'll mention some of this song also that we sing. So this is, what I'm reading from is from Gaudiya History, ISKCON Desire Tree. So let's see here. So this beginning here, so this is from Bhakti Ratnakara. So a brahmachari for his entire life, Narottam Das visited all the places of pilgrimage. He was on the highest platform of devotional achievement. And continuing. Narottam Das Thakur was Champaka Manjari in Krishna Leela. eternally assisting Rupa Manjari in her service to Radha and Krishna. Champaka Manjari had mercy on the conditioned souls of this earth and appeared as Narottam in the village of Kaituri, about 12 miles from Rampur, Baulia, in the Gopalpur division of Rajshahi district. This took place on the full moon day on the month of Magha, sometime around the middle of 15th century of the Shaka era. So that's today. Let's see here. Narottam, is today Purnima actually? I mean, it has to be, huh? Yeah. That's good to know. Narottam was born on the, so this is continuing the Bhakti Ratnakara. So Narottam was born on the Maghi Purnima. From that day on, he thrived and grew like the waxing moon. Anyways, this is some small comment, but just, I mean, there's so many different ways of looking at it. Generally in astrology and Jyotish, there's so many different things to look into, but if someone's born like on a full moon day, depending on like if the moon is waning or waxing, was it Krishna Paksha and Gora Paksha. So then like an astrologer will say like this person's like, generally like this person's wealth will increase or decrease according to that. Of course, I mean, that's material, but we've seen like with other, great devotees also, like one devotee, Shamasundar Prabhu, he gave the horoscope analysis for Srila Prabhupada and for Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And so the thing with astrology, if someone is, if they're under the influence of karma, then like their chart will show that. But if you look at like we see like also in the Shastra, when Krishna was born, and then also with Lord Chaitanya. And then there's also the horoscopes for Ramachandra too. But when the astrologer looks at that, then they see all the spiritual qualities of that personality. So, and then there's a whole analysis too of Lord Chaitanya. So, continuing. So, Narottam's father was Raja Krishna Ananda Datta, the Zamindar of the Gopalpur area. His mother's name was Narayani Devi. Raja Krishna Ananda had a younger brother named Purushottam Datta, who had a son named Santosh. In order to show that his associates can take birth in any caste, Krishna had Narottam Das take birth in a Kayashta family. So generally, from my understanding, Kayashta family is like, it's like a Sudra caste. It's not very like high, it's not like some Paka Brahmin family or something like that. And also too, I believe that, I'm pretty sure, but that Bhaktivinoda Thakur and also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur were of the same like caste and family, this Kayasta. So anyways, it's the same principle that whatever, someone may be born in a particular family, but it's not that they're, Sudra caste or whatever, or family of Chandalas, but that doesn't mean that person is of, any lower importance than a devotee is born in the Brahmana family. Because there's that verse by Prahlad Maharaj, something along the lines of, what is that? Vipradvisad gunayutad aravindanama padaravinda mimukat swapacham varishtam manye tararpitar manovachane hyarta pranam punati sakulam natubuni manaha. And Prahlad Maharaj says that, someone may be born in a Brahmanical family and may have all the, the 12 amazing qualities of a Brahmana. And then there's different things given in different places. Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita those different qualities, that Socham, Satcham, Sama, like, truthful, honest, peaceful, Jnana Vijnanam. He has knowledge, he's realized that knowledge. There's so many different qualities given. He knows the Shastra, clean inside, outside, chanting Vedic mantras, intelligent, all these things. But if that person is not a devotee, then he can't even purify himself, what to speak of his whole family. Whereas a devotee, even though he may be born in a family of dog eaters, or worse than that, I don't know what gets lower than that, but anyways, what gets lower than that is beef eaters. But the devotee may be born in an abominable family, but if that individual takes to the process of devotional service sincerely, he can purify himself and even other people in his family. So birth is not important in the devotional line. it can be helpful, but it also can be an impediment. But the main thing is one's sincerity in Krishna consciousness. So from his early childhood, Narottam began to display symptoms of his future greatness. Everyone was amazed to see his great intelligence and his devotional demeanor. He was constantly absorbed in meditation on the wonderful qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. The Lord and his associates appeared to him in his dreams. And this is Bhatti Narakara again. As tears poured from his eyes, Narottam would offer prayers of surrender to Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda, Advaita, and the other associates of the Lord. Finally, the Lord and his associates appeared to him in a dream and consoled him with kind words. It'd be actually interesting to read that in that book. But anyway, so that's a little bit there. Let's see here. So anyways, I'll stop there and read that. That's just, there's so much that can be said. I'll just read a little bit there. But we can see that though it's not like the highest, sometimes Krishna will appear in the dreams of like great devotees and things like that. Like we see that happen with the Krishna and his associates. That happened with Bhakti Sanatana Saraswati Thakur, with Srila Prabhupada, and then also, just mentioned here with Narottam Das Thakur. And then also too, that happened I think with Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. But one thing obviously is that if Krishna appears in the dreams of a devotee, then it should be in line with Shastra. It's not that Krishna will appear in the dreams and then say recite some new thing or something different that's never can be found of in Shastra. So ultimately Shastra is the Praman, but sometimes Krishna will appear to his great devotees. We may have dreams and things like that, but we should discuss them with devotees and with our spiritual master and authorities to make sure they're okay. Because if we have a dream and then, for instance, and it's Srila Prabhupada initiates us, and then it's then we say, well, I'm initiated. I don't need to take a guru because Prabhupada initiated me in a dream. He told me my name, so my name is whatever Chaitanya Nanda. So then now you call me that. So that may be inspiring or whatever, a dream like that. But the point is that it should be in line with Shastra, because there's one instance, as devotees senior, but they were making the point that they're placing so much emphasis on dreams that this happened with Srila Prabhupada, and then this can happen again, and stuff can be realized in the dreams. But we don't read in Shastra so much where dreams are taken as the ultimate pramans. It is that verse. I need to learn it. But anyways, there's Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, the Natya tradition. So it should be in line. But when great devotees, pure devotees, Krishna will appear in dreams and give them mercy. And they don't make a distinction with that. And it's not like when they sleep that it's whether they're awake or dreaming or whatever, they're completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So there's no break. Because one night, whatever, we have this great amazing dream of Krishna, and then the next night, we have a dream where it's just we're doing nonsense. So we should make this, we should refer to Shastra, make Srimad Bhagavatam the basis for any serious decisions, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Anyways, going off on the song that we read. So we of course, the guru is the life and soul of the disciple. What is that verse? Bhaktyayikayesham gurutevya atmaha, or atma. So the guru is, the disciple should have the guru as his life and soul. But similarly also one gives importance to the Vaishnavas, to the devotees. In his Sharanagati, which is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's excellent, I don't even know the words to describe it, but his excellent explanation of surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is very relevant for us. He gives many different poems and advice on how one can do that. So he has his prayers, and there's this Gurudev, Kripa Bindu Diya. That is in this Sharanagati, and one of the last parts, I forget the section of that. I think Bhajana Lasa, hankering to devotional service. So this song also, Vaishnav Thakur, is mentioned in there. So one of the aspects of surrender to Krishna is taking shelter of the Vaishnavas. And if we read that song, we see that. So we should similarly imbibe that mood, because it's not just me and Guru, or just me and Krishna. So there's Guru, Krishna, and Vaishnavas also. And they all go together hand in hand. And then there's so many slokas too where Krishna states that, that one who is Krishna says that one, or it's in the Agni Purana, but Krishna says that, I also need to learn that sloka. Anyways, I have it here, but Krishna says that one who is his devotee is not his devotee, but one who is a devotee of his devotee is his devotee. And then there's so many other things mentioned in the Shastra about that. Anyways, I'm going to get so much into that. But the point is that we have to become a servant of the servant. So we become servant of the Guru and then also servant of the Vaishnavas. And by their mercy, actually, that's the only way that we can control, that's just like I mentioned here, the 6 urges, that we can maintain, brahmacharya, that we can maintain, proper action in Krishna consciousness and control our mind. It's not that we control our mind by, not eating sweets and eating and regulating ourselves and all these things and, not looking at this and that. And that helps, but we may do all those things, but if we offend a Vaishnava, then we'll fall down. And there's examples of that, in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Shorabi Muni, who was, expert Muni controlling his senses, but he offended Garuda. And, was Garuda just a bird? No, Garuda's a Vaishnava. So, we can, anyways, we respect anybody that's engaged in the service of the Lord. So Garuda is not a bird, he's a Vaishnava. He's a personal carrier of Vishnu. So he offended Garuda, and then he wasn't able to control his senses. And there's so many instances of that. So we will only be able to follow, control our senses by the mercy of the Vaishnavas. And then the 6 faults that's mentioned, there's so, because we may endeavor, and we should endeavor to, to advance in Krishna consciousness. But ultimately, it will become by mercy. Because that's what will really uproot this bija, this materialistic tendency in the heart. Anyway, so much things can be said about all these things. And then also by the association of devotees, we see that we get enthusiasm for Krishna consciousness, and then we get fired up that, yeah, I can do this. And, then they help us to be, patient, that, just relax, you follow this program, and eventually you go on book distribution and travel, you just finish your school or whatever it may be. Or, just like I'm going to do Chandra Prabhu's in the garden, so you have to be patient. We can't get figs tomorrow. You have to wait 2 or 3 years. So what to speak, to get some figs, you have to wait 2 or 3. I mean, we got the tree. I mean, if you start from the sapling, it's probably 8 years, right? Or something like that. So what to speak of the fruit of love of Godhead? You have to wait so long for that. Prabhupada says in one letter that, I'm paraphrasing, but great things take time, and he gives the example of walnuts or cashews. It takes so many years to get them. So to achieve perfection in Krishna consciousness takes time. But when we're in the association of devotees, that time flies, and then it's easy to be patient because it's blissful already. It's it's nectar in the beginning, nectar in the middle, nectar in the end, and then it's just you just hang out and just bleed blissful in Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement, and then eventually it's like as Prabhupada explains. I think he mentioned 2 places. It's like lightning. Then one immediately attains his spiritual body, and then does the same thing in the spiritual world. And then also too, and then within that association of devotees, we act accordingly. We give prasadam, accept prasadam. We reveal our mind. We inquire about devotional service, and then they give gifts, and we accept gifts, and then giving prasadam, and then accepting prasadam. So this is the way in which we act with the Vaishnavas. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, praying in that mood, he explains he doesn't find that he has the strength to chant the holy name, and he's begging for the mercy. So similarly, we can beg for Narottam Das Thakur's mercy on this day to continue in Krishna consciousness and to follow in his footsteps and spreading the holy name of Krishna. So anyway, so now we'll continue to the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so so I'll chant, let's think how to do this exactly. So I'll chant text 11, and then I'll read the word for word, the translation, and then we'll chant together text 12. So, yeah, so anyways, so, actually, I'll just read the translation, I won't read the word for word. So, tashvash vashit swashratashu sahasram parivast sharan tena narayano nama Yet apa purushod bhava. In the translation, the Supreme Lord is not impersonal and therefore is distinctly Nara, or person. Therefore, the transcendental water created from the Supreme Nara is known as Nara. And because he lies down on that water, he is known as Narayana. Text 12. Dravyam karma cha kalaha cha swa bhavaha jivaha eva cha yat anugrataha shanti na shanti yat upekshaya dravyam karma chakalascha svabhavo jiva evacha yad anugrahata shanti na shanti yad upekshaya dravyam karma chakalascha svabhavo jiva evacha yad anugrahata shanti na shanti yad upekshaya dravyam karma chakalascha svabhava jiva evacha yad anugrahata shanti na shanti yad upekshaya. Sabhavo jiva evacha
nasanti yadupekshaya dravyam karma chakalascha svabhavo jiva evacha yad anugrahata santi nasanti yadupekshaya dravyam karma chakalascha svabhavo jiva evacha
Alrighty, so word for word. Dravyam, physical elements. Karma, action. Cha, and. Kalaha, time. Cha, also. Swabhavaha, jivaha, the living entities. Eva, certainly. Cha, also. Yet, whose? Anugrahata, by the mercy of. Shanti, exist. Na, does not. Shanti, exist. Yet, upekshaya, by negligence. Okay, translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Oh, before I recite this, I didn't chant this, so Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. One should definitely know that all material ingredients, activities, time, and modes, and the living entities who are meant to enjoy them all, exist by His mercy only. And as soon as He does not care for them, everything becomes non-existent. Purport. The living entities are the enjoyers of the material ingredients, time, modes, etc. Because they want to lord it over the material nature, the Lord is the supreme enjoyer, and living entities are meant to assist the Lord in his enjoyment and thus participate in the transcendental enjoyment of everyone. The enjoyer and the enjoyed both participate in enjoyment, but deluded by the illusory energy, the living entities want to become the enjoyer, like the Lord, although they are not meant for such enjoyment. The jivas, the living entities, are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita as the Lord's superior nature, or para prakriti, and so also it is mentioned in the Vishnu Purana. Therefore, the living entities are never the Purushas, or factual enjoyers. As such, the spirit of enjoyment by the living entity in the material world is false. In the spiritual world, the living entities are pure in nature, and therefore they are associates in the enjoyment of the Supreme Lord. In the material world, the spirit of enjoyment of the living entities by dint of their own actions, karma, gradually fades by the laws of nature, and thus the illusory energy dictates in the ears of the conditioned souls that they should become one with the Lord. This is the last snare of the illusory energy. When the last illusion is also cleared off by the mercy of the Lord, the living entity again becomes reinstated in his original position and thus becomes actually liberated. For this attainment of liberation from the material clutches, the Lord creates the material world, maintains it for some time, 1,000 years of his measurement, as stated in the previous verse, and then again annihilates it by his will. The living entities are therefore completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord, and all their so-called enjoyments, by scientific improvement, are crushed into dust when the Lord desires. So, anyways, I already chanted the Mangalacharanam, so I'll just read the two. So tvashvashvashit swashrashtashu sahasram parivasharam tena narayano nama yad apa purushodbhavam dravyam karma chakalascha sabhava jiva evacha yad anugrahata shanti nashanti yad upekshaya. So the translation of those verses: that Supreme Person is not impersonal, and therefore is distinctly a Nara, or person. Therefore, a transcendental water created from the Supreme Nara is known as Nara. And because he lies down on that water, he is known as Narayana. One should definitely know that all material ingredients, activities, time, and modes, and living entities who are meant to enjoy them all exist by his mercy only. And as soon as he does not care for them, everything becomes non-existent. Okay. So the Supreme Personality of God creates the material world, and it's like a twofold creation. So as the text is saying here, the living entities who are meant to enjoy them all. So the living entities, meant to enjoy, the physical elements, time, and Prabhupada says the modes of material nature, so many things. So the living entities, they're not created to enjoy the material energy, but by the Lord's mercy, He allows facility for living entities to enjoy separately from Him. So the material world's created as, it's His mercy. Acharyas also describe it as a prison. So prison is, better than just taking, somebody does some wrong, they steal some, whatever. They steal a car, or they rob a grocery store. So instead of just like taking them and just killing them, the government's mercy is they throw them in the prison and then let them, whatever. They maintain them for some time until they kind of like realize that, well, maybe they shouldn't have, robbed that grocery store or whatever. Hopefully they get reformed, but generally not. But so the material world is a place for living entities to have their own, there's that book, The God Delusion. So the material world is a God delusion because the living entity thinks that he's a supreme enjoyer. He thinks he is God. Or he thinks there is no God. Things get really crazy in the material world. And then we see, especially nowadays, there's so many different mental illnesses and so many crazinesses that go on. Some people are schizophrenic, they hear, voices that aren't there, and they talk to people that aren't there. Someone could be perfectly sane most of their life, and then something happens, they snap, or whatever. If somebody takes a lot of, psychedelics, and then they permanently go crazy. I know what's it called? I forget exactly, but Bhaktivikas Maharaj mentions in one of his classes that when he grew up, there was somebody that took a whole bunch of LSD, and I forgot what he said. He was known as like Mad John or something, because he was just he took so much LSD, he just became permanently crazy. And then I've also like seen that growing up. I've had different friends and people, like one guy. Anyways, they used to call him Shaky because he took so many drugs one time and he permanently shakes. So anyways, this is the nature of the mature world. It's just people are different crazy. And then there's small crazy and big crazy. There's people that, that they're thinking that, that they're the proprietor of some land or some nation. We won't name the names now, but formerly there was, one Churchill, and there was Hitler, and there was Stalin, Mussolini, and so many big names. But, where are they now? And they were thinking when they were at the planet, Stalin and Churchill, that, this nation is going on by me, and so many great things I'm doing, but things are still going on, and like that. And then so many things. So the point is that the living entity comes to the material world, and he thinks that he's the supreme, but actually he's not. And so when one thinks he's supreme, one may not necessarily think that, I am God, I'm the supreme being, I created everything. But he thinks it in a small term. He looks out and he thinks, well, everything's meant for my enjoyment. Sailing, just like Christopher Columbus, sailing the seas, and he discovers America. But then he sees America, what does he think? Wow, what a wonderful land that God has created. No, he thinks, well, this land is for me to for me to conquer, to exploit. And I remember one time there's this popular song that we would sing as kids, but part of the song is like, anyways, the point that this land is your land, this land is my land. I don't remember the whole song, but the end of the verse is like, this land was meant for you and me. So the idea is like, the land that we see, is meant for us to enjoy. And so that enjoying tendency it's the envious spirit of living entity, because actually everything's meant for Bhagavan's enjoyment. But people because it's the material world, and especially since it's Kali Yuga, people don't have a conception of God. Or if they do have a conception of God, and it's the same thing, that, well, God created this world for us to enjoy, so let's do it. Amen, hallowed be thy name, so let's go party Saturday night or whatever, it's Friday night. So so that's like the nature. So people don't have like a proper, so if they have a conception of God, it's pretty much basically like, what's the exact word? I mean, I don't even want to say uncivilized, because sometimes uncivilized people, they have, some standards. It's animalistic. It's a bestial like conception of the absolute of God, that that God's there, and bless him, and he created this world for me to enjoy. It's just like also too, there was that was like a famous thing. There was one famous football player. I think every time he would score a goal, he would bow down and offer his respects to God. So it's just it's that mentality. And he's, of course, I don't know the whole thing, but it's better than just thinking, by my mercy, I'm kicking the ball and the whatever. I don't know football at all, but it's that arch thing. And I'm getting the point, and I did it by myself, and I kick it, and it's like, yeah, that one's for you, God. Thank you, God, for that ability. So it's it's better than that, just being right out atheistic. But it's not like the end of religion, that thank you, God, for this and that, and thank you, God, for giving me a good job, and thank you for helping me get pass my test, and thank you, God, for my girlfriend and my dog, and it's not spiritual. It's pious, and it's definitely a step. But so Srimad Bhagavatam goes further than that. That everything's meant for God's enjoyment, and God has rules and regulations by how He wants me to live. But ultimately, what God wants from me is not that that I win the World Cup championship of football, or that that I'm a great leader and I make a lot of money, or this or that. God doesn't want us to be successful in the material world. God wants us to come out of the material world. That's why one name of Krishna is Hari, one who takes away. So he takes away our suffering, and he also takes away the material opulence, which is blocking us from surrendering onto him. So this is the position of Krishna, actually. And so also Krishna, he attracts us. So another name of Krishna is Sankarshan. So he wants to attract all the living entities to his lotus feet. And he does that by the agency of Shastra, by the spiritual master, and by the Vaishnavas. and also by the regulative process of sadhana bhakti, by which one can curb this tendency to enjoy. Just like there's that system, Krishna says, Chatur Vanya Maya Shrishtam, Guna Karma Vibhagasaha. So Krishna created this system of Varnashram, of these four spiritual orders, of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and then a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. And the central point of that is, what is that verse? Let me see here. I don't have it exactly. But the last line is Samsiddhi or Haritoshanam. I'll just pull it up here real quick, so I get it properly. Vishwaskenas, I don't know. No Padiyadyatim Shamaeva Hi Kevalam. Yeah. Or sorry, no, Samsiddhi Haritoshanam. Thank you. I have it here. So Krishna explains that, Sudha Goswami, that, O best amongst the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste and divisions, orders of life, is to please the personality of Godhead. So that's the point of the Varnashram system. Different people may get caught up in different things, but if the system is there properly, then one can engage in his duties engage in the process of Krishna consciousness at some level and make advancement, and then be protected within that net. Because it's just, there's brahmanas, and then they're guiding society, and then one is respecting them, and if someone is a Shudra and working, and he's working under a Vaishnava, working under a Brahmana and helping, then naturally he'll get some information about Bhagavan or who Bhagavan is, and he's engaging in the service of the Vaishnava, so that's devotional service. And he may not understand that, but then then that affinity increases in his heart. Or someone may be a Brahmin, but then he may not understand the scriptures 100%. He may think that Bhagavan is impersonal or whatever, but then he may have respect for a Vaishya or be helping a Kshatriya who's highly elevated in devotional service. It's like we say, Maharaj Yudhisthira, he was a Vaishnava, and so many, brahmanas, they would be under his, not necessarily like they would be under him, but he would maintain them. So naturally, if you're being maintained by somebody, and you have affinity for that person or whatever. So the point is that in the Vedic culture, everybody helps each other. It's not that it's because we read in the Bhagavatam, and there's so many. Just like I quoted that verse at the beginning of that class. What is that? Vipradvisad Gunayutar Aravindanabha. So it's not that all Brahmins are just highly elevated Vaishnavas. I mean, that's not Lord Chaitanya's teachings. That just because one's a Brahmana that he's a Vaishnava. Was it Kibra Vipra, Kibra Nasi Suji Kenyanoi, Ye Krishna Tattva Veda Se Guru Hoy, that if one knows the science of Krishna, he's a guru, whatever that may be. Lord Chaitanya accepted Shiksha from Ramananda Roy, who was Sudra, from the external vision. But the thing is that in the Varnashram system, everybody works together. I mean, the sole purpose, if guided properly, is meant for the satisfaction of Krishna, the personality of Godhead. So the Bhagavatam states that. So these things and these orders and the sadhana and all these different things, when one lives a life according to the verdict of Shastra, one is purified of this enjoying mentality. So then when one sees the world, he doesn't think, how can I conquer it or how can I enjoy it? But he thinks, let me take what I need, accept what's in my quota, and utilize my time to engage in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and help others in that also. And then naturally, and then one grows some food and one has to eat and different things like that. Basic necessities are there. But the point is not to overindulge. And someone may be rich and have a lot of money, so they may have a fancy house, just like, the kings. It wasn't that they were ruling in some hut or something. They had a big, huge palace, a huge kingdom. Krishna had 16,108 palaces. He's completely renounced, but then he's living in so many palaces. Maharaj Yudhisthira also, Vaishnava, big palace. And so many examples of that. So that room is there according for the service, because otherwise, what's the point of being a king if there's not the opulence? People respect that, and that's there, because you see, just like if the president were to come, and whatever he had, there's a particular dress by which we know the president now, but if he had some ripped jeans, and then whatever I Love New York T-shirt, and some shorts, and came in with some sandals, and he's like, well, I'm the president, and then sipping on some orange juice or something, we'd be like, okay, whatever. But when the president comes, just like when we were at the Trump rally some years ago, I mean, there was like so many different cars. I think the black Escalades, and there was like some 15 cars, and he has a fancy suit, and then there's so many different Secret Service agents there, and this and that, and they're all around. And even they're with him, and then they're already there at the venue, and he goes in through a secret entrance, and then there's so many people. It's like a whole entourage. So so kings have their opulence, and then they use that accordingly, and then they need that to execute their service, and then that leaves an impression, because the king's coming, and then it's like a huge thing, and then offer respects. But then it's like, well, is that the king? And it's like, well, he's just hanging out. So that all this opulence is there. So then what to speak of Bhagavan, who has his opulence and his entourage and all of his things. It's kings. It's just a fraction. It's just like it's described in the Shastras that one should respect the king also, because he understands that the king received that position by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's just like when the Nawab came to see Sanatan Goswami. The Sanatan Goswami stood up to respect him and all the Brahmanas, because he was saying that this is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that he got this post because he's a king, he's ruling. So like that. So this is the position in the material world, and so we want to come out of that. Prabhupada makes the point in the purport that so a living entity, he may be enjoying the material world and fired up about that, and eventually at one point he comes to the position where he can't enjoy anymore. He realizes the material world's suffering. So then he comes to the conclusion, well, actually I am God. And so it's just another snare of Maya. So then one has to break free from that and understand that actually you're not God. You're the you're the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the previous verse, I'm going to speak on that some. Prabhupada doesn't comment. Well, he comments on this verse in the other purport. But he makes a point that the 1,000 years of his measurement, that's how long the material world lasts, according to Vishnu time. 1,000 years. And what is that 1,000 years? Who knows? Because we also hear that the breathing and exhaling, that universes are coming in and coming out of the pores of his skin. So I'll read this translation again. And so just to kind of make a couple points. So the Supreme Person is not impersonal, and therefore he is distinctly a Nara, a person. Therefore, the transcendental water created from the Supreme Nara is known as Nara. And because he lies down in that water, he is known as Narayan. And so this verse here, if we look at the word for word Sanskrit, we see here Sahasram Parivatsaran. So Prabhupada in his translation, he doesn't give that, and pretty much that means for 1,000 of his years. But he mentions that in the commentary of the next purport of that. But in this verse here, so and also too within it, if you look at the word for word Sanskrit, it's not like emphatically mentioned that the Supreme Person is not impersonal. But Prabhupada is really making that point, and he's also in his commentary on the next verse, he's stressing that point, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not impersonal. And that also in another way he's making that point, he's not impersonal because the jiva can't become Bhagavan. So he's distinctly making that he's the Supreme Person, Narayan. And so Narayan lays down on that on the transcendental water. And specifically this name Narayan is a very important name actually in the Shastra. And I'll speak about that some a little bit now. I'm not, I wish there was so much more I can say, but anyways, I have to study more and get more purified. So there's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and if you want, you can pull this up. I'm not going to jump around so many. So Narayan is given a lot of emphasis in the Sri Sampradaya, and I'll talk about that some, but they take that as that's the Sunam Bodham name, as like we take the name of Krishna. So, so the verses 10, 14, 14. So this is Brahma speaking. So, So what is this? Narayanastvam na hi sarvam dehinam Atmashyadi adi shakila loka shakshi narayano nagam narabhu jalat yanat tachapi satyam na tavaiva maya. So the translation is, so this is Brahma speaking to Krishna. Are you not the original Narayan, O Supreme Controller? Since you are the soul of every embodied being and the eternal witness of all created realms. Let me reread that. I said that weird. Are you not the original Narayan, O Supreme Controller, since you are the soul of every embodied being and the eternal witness of all created realms? Indeed, Lord Narayan is your expansion, and he is called Narayan because he is the generating source of the primeval water of the universe. He is real, not a product of your illusory Maya. So, and then the purport, I guess I'll read that. So, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 2, text 30, Srila Prabhupada comments on this verse as follows. This statement was spoken by Lord Brahma in his prayers to Lord Krishna after the Lord defeated him by displaying his mystic powers. Brahma had tried to test Lord Krishna to see if he was really the Supreme Personality of Godhead, playing as a cowherd boy. Brahma stole all the other boys and their cows from the pasturing grounds, but when he returned to the pastures, he saw that all the boys and cows were still there, for Lord Krishna had created them all again. When Brahma saw this mystic power of Lord Krishna, he admitted defeat and offered prayers to the Lord, addressing him as the proprietor and seer of everything and the creation, and as the super soul who is within each and every living entity and is dear to all. Lord Krishna is Narayan, the father of Brahma. Because Lord Krishna's plenary expansion, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, after placing himself on the Garbha ocean, created Brahma from his own body. Mahavishnu in the causal ocean and Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, the super soul in everyone's heart, are also transcendental expansions of the supreme truth. And then I'll just stop there. The next thing is just making the point that Sanatana Goswami explains this further in his commentary. So Narayan, I got to bring up my notes. So, yeah. Oh, you can bring back that verse. Keep it up there. Let's go back. Thank you. Yeah, the translation. So Brahma so we have that picture over there. And so all the different Narayan forms were revealed to Lord Brahma. It's an amazing pastime, actually. And if you read the descriptions and the Bhagavatam, it's like, in Brahma also, I mean, it's like that point is given in the, what is this exactly? So Brahma has that vision, and he sees all like the Vishnus, and then they're being worshipped, and he sees all the demigods, and then I think like he sees like little entities like circling around them, and it's like, anyways, what did you speak of? We just saw, just Narayan himself, and they see like unlimited, just like there, and then Krishna is there, taking lunch. So it's really amazing, actually, and really blissful. And so if you read the descriptions, and I believe it's described that there's like unlimited universes also coming out, something along those lines. It's mentioned in like one of the prayers. If you look at this chapter, it's a little detail, and then it's like, I think it's mentioned like in the like the word for word or something like that of just like that whole situation when like Brahma is seeing that. So Narayan is the according to the Sri Sampradaya. So that guy was saying, so they see Narayan as like the fountainhead of all other incarnations. Just like was this Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. We understand that Krishna is the source of all other incarnations, but they take that as Narayan, that he's the source of everything. And that's true in one aspect, but we understand from Lord Chaitanya and also from Shastra and Srimad Bhagavatam that Narayan is an expansion of Krishna. That Krishna is, Narayan is an expansion of Krishna. Make sure I said that right. And there's so much that could be said about that. So in the Ramanuja Sampradaya, they chant this name, Om Namo Narayanaya Namaha. And if you ever go to Sri Rangam in South India, they always, at least when I was there, they would always play that on the speaker. Like when you go through, like if you, like we've all been to, like most of us have been to like Mayapur and Vrindavan. So like they, like generally they have, I think, like some kirtan of like Prabhupada playing like in Mayapur or something. So like in the loudspeakers, like if you walk around, you just hear like Om Namo Narayanaya Namaha. And so like I was saying, they take that as the principle of as the principal names of all of the names. And they explain that all qualities of the Supreme are particularly found in this name, Narayan. And that, and so different meanings are given there, like we have this one meaning here. And so therefore, the transcendental water created from the Supreme Person is known as Nara. And because he lies down on that water, he's known as Narayan. So specifically this name, just like we have Nara. And so, Nara is, different names, like, in the Vishnu Sahasranam, they can apply to like different, like to ordinary people or maybe to demigods or whatever. Just like Brahma, it's believed, I forget the exact name, but so it's mentioned that in the Bhagavatam that Yamaraj he's almost like Paramatma, that he can like see within everybody's heart. So like that, in that sense, like, descriptions of like Paramatma, some of them can also apply to Yamaraj. And we also see too in the Nectar of Devotion that Brahma is like, he can see past Trikala Gya, Shiva is also, Vishnu is. So there's different like qualities that apply. Nara is a person, so Vishnu is also a person. We are persons. So that name applies. What is this other? There's so many different names that will apply. I wrote a couple here. So Rudra, anger, that's the name of Shiva. Also, we get angry. If anyways, devotee gets too angry, we can call him Rudra Das, sort of anger. So like that, Vishnu has his anger, or Anantashesh, it's described that he gets angry. His transcendental anger when at the end of the universe, when he sees all the living entities that they haven't surrendered onto Vishnu. So then he burns up the universe. Fire emanates from his mouth. And Shiva also auspicious, that can apply. So, but specifically, it's mentioned that the name Narayan doesn't apply to anybody else. It's only reserved for Vishnu or for Krishna. And so we may see that, whatever, and persons may have that name, just like in the Bhagavatam, Ajamil named his son Narayan. So it's, so someone may have that name, but it's not, when he's being named, and whatever, and then we have, someone may name Krishna Das or whatever, and just like we have different names. My name's Kalki Das, so I'm not named Kalki because it's like, I have like the qualities of Kalki avatar, and like I'm just gonna like go around and like kill a bunch of people or whatever, with a sword. But it's, one is named after that, after Vishnu, who has those qualities, because I don't have any qualities of Kalki or whatever. Or it wasn't that, that Ajamya was naming his son Narayan because he has such amazing qualities. Prabhupada makes a joke sometimes that someone will, out of affection, the father may name his son Padmalochan, but the son is blind. Padmalochan means one who has lotus eyes. So if you're blind, it's like, how do you have beautiful eyes? You don't. So out of affection, we may give those names. But the point is that those qualities are found in the Supreme Personality of Godhead mainly. And so there's also, this name is mentioned. Let me see. I might have to search it in Vedabase. But this verse is mentioned in the previous cantos. I'll just find it, or in the second canto. I'll find it real quick. I don't remember exactly where it's at. Let's see here. Okay, I think it's verse 15. So, yeah, okay, I got it here. There's a couple verses. So kind of going off more in the name of Narayan. So, Narayana Paraveda, Deva Narayanan Gajaha, Narayana Paraloka, Narayana Paramakaha. I'll read the next verse also. You don't have to pull this up, but if you want to, it's Canto 2, Chapter 5, texts 15 and 16. And continuing. So, Narayana Paro Yogo, Narayana Param Tapaha, Narayana Param Jnanam, Narayana Paragatihi. And the translations of that is, the Vedic literatures are made by and are meant for the Supreme Lord. The demigods are also meant for serving the Lord as parts of his body. The different planets are also meant for the sake of the Lord. And all different sacrifices are performed just to please him. All different types of meditation or mysticism are means for realizing Narayan. All austerities are aimed at achieving Narayan. Culture of transcendental knowledge is for getting a glimpse of Narayan, And ultimately, salvation is entering the kingdom of Narayan. So there's so much that could be said about that, actually. And then even like going into the purports and things like that. But let's see here. So, and then kind of just like going back, so it's giving more explanation about, who Narayan is and what all these different means, this yoga and this tapasya, knowledge, and then the ultimate goal is meant, the ultimate aim is meant for Narayan. And of course we understand Narayan to be ultimately Krishna. And then also it kind of ties into this verse today, just emphasizing that point that, what is it here? Or sorry, not that point, but Prabhupada makes the point in the purport that everything is meant for his enjoyment. So, so this is the position of Narayan, and then also, let's see here. So also another understanding of Narayan is that that everything is like existing in him. We see that in this text also, the text today. That what does it say here? That everything exists by his mercy, and then as soon as he doesn't care for them, everything becomes non-existent. So it's by Narayan's mercy that everything's existing. That he, that he allows the creation to happen. He maintains it for some time, and then when he's by his will, everything's wound up according to his time. So everything is existing by his mercy. And then also too, there's that pastime of Ramanujacharya. With Goshti Purna, in which he went and sought initiation from him, and then he gave him, he gave him a mantra which he said was secret, this Om Namo Narayanaaya Namaha, and he told him that by chanting this mantra, that you'll achieve liberation. So then Ramanujacharya famously went and he spoke that name widely for the benefit of all, so that they could achieve liberation, and then. Goshti Purna told him, like, don't you realize that, you disobey that, so you have to go to hell. And so he was making the point that, I may go to hell, but then so many people may get liberated. So, so be it. And so that's the actual mood of a Vaishnava, or a devotee of the Lord, that he's willing to sacrifice his own salvation for the benefit of others. That's a very exemplar attitude, actually. We can learn so much from that and take inspiration from that. And so, anyways, just a couple things about this name Narayan. We don't really discuss it so much in our sampradaya. Like I said, we place a lot of emphasis on Krishna's names because Krishna that's in Lord Chaitanya also. We see that there is some discussion in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about Narayan and his position and things like that. That discussion is given there. Ultimately, like I said, the conclusion that Krishna stu Bhagavan Swayam, and there's other slokas also that give that conclusion and things. There's one in the 10th canto. I forget exactly which chapter, but in the end of it, and I'm not going to get into that now or discuss that because there's a huge discussion. But there's a discussion with the Acharyas about with Mahavishnu, where he's talking about Narayan Rishi. And about how Krishna will enter back into them. So the Acharyas give a whole elaborate explanation by what is meant by that. And anyway, the conclusion of that is that Narayan Rishi are amsas of Krishna and Arjuna. So anyways, I'll stop there. A couple points made, but if anybody has any questions or comments, we can open up for that now. You have something? Or?
I had some things, but not. I forgot.
Oh, it's okay.
It's like earlier, but I should have had a notebook.
Yeah, that happens to me.
Prabhu, this verse that you quoted just
from the second canto about Narayan being this goal
Yes.
of all. That's also in the first canto. That same. It almost seems like it's the same framework. The verse itself.
Oh yeah, there's another verse like
It's in
that.
divinity and divine service.
Yeah.
The goal of yoga practice is to realize Narayan. I just had a recollection of, you were talking about devotees having dreams and how there's,
Yeah.
The ultimate pramanam is Shastra,
Yes.
but I was just hearing about Pundarik Vidyanidhi,
Mm.
how he had a dream of Krishna,
Yeah.
because he had seen that the pujaris, I think, taking care of Lord Jagannath, gave the Lord a cloth that wasn't washed,
Yeah.
and then so he was criticizing,
Yeah.
and then Krishna, Jagannath came to him in the dream and chastised and blessed him by,
Yeah.
I think, slapping him, and then he woke up with like red cheeks,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's good to always have our lives backed up by sadhus, guru, and shastra.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that also too with the Kazi, that he had that dream with Lord Nrsingadev. You know about that? And then he was like, he woke up and then there was like whatever, some scratch marks on his chest.
Is that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita?
I believe so, or Chaitanya Bhagavat. But that's there. I remember that's there. Hate to see, but that's there also. But yeah, the main thing is important. It has to be backed up with Shastra. Because if we have some dream or something, and then it's, I don't know, that Srila Prabhupada wants us to, open up a construction company, then it's, or something that just goes against Shastra. Or Prabhupada said, that we don't have to chant 16 rounds. He told me in a dream. So it's like, because then it opens up the door for so many things, and that's why the acharyas usually don't place so much emphasis on that, because then it's free game, because then anybody has a dream. But that is there, that we see that. There's examples of that, and I mean, there's so many. Madhavendra Puri also, and someone else came to mind, but it slipped my mind also. But Madhavendra Puri, that's there. But the main thing, especially in our stages, we should really stress, I mean, in all stages, but Shastra is always stressed, and Guru and Vaishnava as the bench, as the gauge. Yes.
It's for the online readers.
Thank you, Prabhu. About this point, so Krishna explains pratyaksha bhagavam dharmam susukham. So that the result of properly following path of devotional service is that one has direct perception, either in dream or in waking. It's actually the fourth turiya level. It's beyond dreaming, waking, and one actually gets some direct perception of the existence of the Lord and personal existence. So that is like what we're hoping for, right?
Yeah.
We want to. It even said in that verse that the last one you quoted from the Bhagavatam that Prabhu was mentioning also, that yoga is performed or something is performed in order to get a glimpse of Narayana.
Yeah.
So, what I don't mean to counter what you're saying. That's correct. Guru Sadhu Shastra has to be the basis of everything. But then, if one does receive the great fortune of getting a darshan like that, like for example Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and others, we saw that they had direct darshan of the Lord's transcendental form. So they don't. What I've heard, I think, in Nectar of Devotion, the Rupa Goswami, I think, is explaining that person becomes even more humble after that, and he does not speak about and advertise that. It's like a great wealth that one doesn't show to others.
Yeah.
Like it's like, or for another example would be if you have a very intimate relationship with a person. For example, say someone has a wife or husband. They don't talk about their intimate dealings with almost nobody. So that's that's also the transcendental culture, spiritual life. Even if one does do that, he still acts according to Sadhu, and he still, whatever he does, he backs it up with Guru Sadhu and Shastra. On that basis, he doesn't advertise himself as some kind of self-realized acharya or something.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, we see too that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he mentions that he had like darshan of Lord Nityananda in the dream, but he also doesn't advertise. He just mentions it in passing. It's kind of like, oh yeah, this happened, and then like, you know. But it's like, it's actually a very amazing thing. And he doesn't like, you say, oh, I'm so fortunate, or I'm so wonderful, or whatever. It's just like, yeah, this happened. And then I went to Vrindavan, and that's kind of like why I'm writing this now. You know, that whole situation. When his brother disrespected, there's a brother, and then also, what is it, Gunardava Mishra. The Brahmin also disrespected, I forgot who it was, an associate of Lord Chaitanya that came, and then that devotee got really angry. But that, like you're saying, the main thing is that, I mean, we may say so many things that, you know, and I'm tasting the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness, but there should be some change in character also. Because we're, you know, like, you know, I just associated with my guru for like 2 years and served him intimately, but then after that, if it's just like, you know, we're not humble, we're not reading the Shastra, we're not doing any devotional activities, and it's like we weren't really associating with the guru. We were next to the guru, and like we may have like done a couple things from him, but we didn't really take that association to heart. And then there's also too that Bhakti Thakur, there was, I forget who it was, but somebody was saying, oh, I was with Bhakti Thakur was making the point. There was one person that he was saying, oh, I was with Bhaktivinoda Thakur and this and that. And he was like saying, you never associated with Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he was like, what are you talking about? Like, I was there, you know, you were there, like you saw me with him. But he was making the point that like you didn't really, I'm paraphrasing, but you didn't really take those instructions to heart and like associate with them on like the spiritual level in a Krishna conscious way. So in that sense, you never were with them. So it's like, you know, that like you're saying, that change should be there, that humility and everything.
There's also, just if I may, there's also the example of when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was speaking about Upanishads, was it? At Radhakund?
Yeah, I believe so.
And then his disciples came. Some of the local Babajis didn't go to that meeting, or maybe they came but they didn't stay.
Yeah, they
because
left,
they were thinking, what is this?
Yeah.
He's not speaking on the Ashtakali Leela of Radha and Krishna. Why is he speaking on Upanishads?
Yeah.
That is not our Goswami line. So they couldn't understand how the importance of this. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's comment was, they're not living in Radhakund, they're actually living in Narakund.
Yeah.
Which means they're living in hell.
Yeah.
So that's another way to back that up. Prabhu, I really appreciated one point, many points, but a specific point you made yesterday about that when we do Sankirtan, book distribution and devotional service, it purifies ourselves and the society. So when the society is purified, it's like ghee, the impurities are coming to the top. Then it's our this is, I thought, brilliant recommendation, that we should see that's now our position is to explain why those impure conceptions are there and help dislodge them.
Yeah.
And so, like, it happened to me yesterday, exactly that on Sankirtan, like, because I was like, I don't know where I've been for the last, so many years. I just can't, I've just recently started realizing that these people in Indian bodies in the West are just as much in Maya as everyone else.
Yeah.
If not more. It's like, it's like crazy. They're like completely sold out to like the whole modern paradigm.
Yeah.
And when I realized that, it's shocking. It's like, how could you not look into your, everybody looks into their culture. When I grew up, myself and my friend, at a certain age, you just start wondering, like, where did I come from? What was my parents' tradition? What was their parents' tradition? And how did it all come about? And it's just like shocking how much tamaguna there is in the world now. Like, people don't think about where I came from and what the purpose of all this is. So it's like, anyway, sorry to go off on that tangent, but one little girl was telling me, Krishna, I think my dad speaks Telugu. I guess I don't know where he's from. Where's that? Andhra Pradesh or somewhere.
Yeah.
And she said, but I'm not a Hindu. I'm a Christian because my dad converted to Christianity, and I grew up with Christianity here.
Yeah.
And Jesus is the way. And I said, okay, that's wonderful. But don't you think there's something to gain from this like most ancient, profound tradition? Do you think there's something valuable there, or should it be all discarded because they threw him on the cross?
Yeah.
It should be that. Is that logical?
Yeah.
And she was patient, and we had discussed a little bit. Ultimately, she gave a donation and took Bhagavatam. 1-1.
Yeah.
In all persons, like sahajya and impersonalism.
Yeah.
And you have to try to avoid those so that you can see the real reality. So if that's the case, isn't it like we're not, I mean, we're battling impersonalism, but at the same time, we're if somebody comes to the idea that there's something beyond the day-to-day, there's some kind, and they have an impersonal conception of God, don't we in some way applaud that and then help them remove that conception?
Yeah, the main thing is that if somebody has like an impersonal conception of God, and they don't have any conception of the personal form, that may be like okay in one aspect. But the problem is that what we're really against is people that say, well, that God has no form, and that form is illusory. That's the problem. Because
Vedanti tat tat yugas yagyam something brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaneti sabhyate. So Prabhupada would say that the progressive level of God realization is Brahman, Paramatman, Bhagavan. So it's if one is proceeding on the path of spiritual realization and he accepts that there's like a supreme and he created this world, that's definitely good. That's a lot better than like there's no God or whatever. But one has to get further knowledge and like continue on for there. And so that knowledge has to be given. But it's not complete. It's just, one has to get like the knowledge and understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But just like the four Kumaras, for instance, and Sukadeva Goswami is given as that. It wasn't that they were condemned, for their realizations or outcasted in society, but they also too felt that there was like some type of like lacking there. Not lacking in the sense, but the thing, they were attracted. The point is that they were attracted to hear about Krishna. So that's like the main thing. As long as one is not like envious of the personal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then that's better than being envious of it and say that there is no God, there is no soul. Now Buddhism, for instance, I mean they don't accept there is a God, there is a soul, or all those things. So that's not proper. But anyways, people have like so many different ideas and things like that, and of course we have wherever someone's at, we have to try to like help them come out of that. But even if someone is a Mayavadi and this and that, there still is hope for them if they're preached to properly. Because we see that with Lord Chaitanya. He preached to like different people that were hardcore, like they knew Shastra. They were like fully convinced that like, that God is like, not a person. And that so he was able by to convince them. So then that's there also. So everybody can, in one sense, come to the highest stage. So anyways, a couple things about that. So, do you have something? Or?
Actually, yeah, I do.
Yeah, you can ask your thing and then we'll end there.
This is dead, actually.
It's dead?
Yeah, it died.
Or you want to come close to me and speak it?
Yeah, so it was really just a
Take this mic.
It was really just a question
Yeah, just
about
take the mic. Speak into that and then give it back to me.
Alright.
No, like it's not even on at all.
The mic's not on?
Yeah, like so like the main,
Oh, okay.
the main
All right,
piece
then,
died.
yeah, say your thing. Sorry. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
that's okay. So you talked about Krishna also being, called Hari, he who takes away.
Yeah.
And there's a verse in I think it's Gita about him being the plunder of all wealth or all opulences, because it was something you were saying about how he'll, even if like we pray like say like Krishna give me like some sort of opulence, it's like he might give it to you and then take it away
Yeah.
just for you to understand it. You didn't never needed it in the first place.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask if you knew what that verse was, or if anybody knew what that.
What Hari, when he takes away?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like if it's like specifically saying hard, but it's like
In the Bhagavad Gita?
I think it's Gita. Yeah.
I mean, there's a verse in the Bhagavatam for sure. I think it's, let me think. Let me see. I think it's 1088.8.
Yeah.
Let me pull it. Let me pull it up. I'll just, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, Yashaham Anuganami Harishye Taddanan Shanai Tato Danan Twadyan Yashya Swadana Duka Dukitam. And then the translation is that the personality of God has said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth, then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. And this way he suffers one distress after another. So there's that verse. And there's other verses also where Krishna kind of says the same thing. But that's a famous one. So, all righty. Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki.
Jai.